Okay, it's recorded.
And we're live.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 4K. Big up our sponsors. Talksport, the biggest sports radio station in the world. Go show their socials some love. Also, shout out Fanatics, the official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. Go check them out using the affiliated link in the description below. Right then, Kanishk, Villarreal, third placed. Before kickoff, they had a pretty promising start to their Liga campaign. I've seen them on a couple of occasions, notably the Atleti game, and they were very unlucky to suffer a loss at the Metropolitano. They have a coach who is well experienced. You said it yourself in the in the preview. He has managed a plethora of La Liga clubs over the years. They're very smart in their transfer strategy. It's a small club that always manages to somehow, one way or the other, punch above their weight, and for that, I've always massively admired Villarreal, and their tendency to cause an upset when nobody is really giving them a prayer. I thought they looked right on course for that for a good 45-50 minutes until we kind of scored the second goal. But yeah, talk to me, Kanish, like how happy are you with the performance, and do you think this is a good bounce back from what happened last Saturday?
Well, hello, listeners. So I am happy today, Sunil, because you look a bit happier than in the past, where we've also won matches. Because I feel today Villarreal honestly did not show up. They were trying to play the low block and just frustrate Real Madrid with their defensive strategy. At least for the first 45 minutes, I thought this was, with all due respect, a very boring first half to watch. Not much happening there, barring the Mastantuono chance, I feel, which he kind of fluffed. But yeah, second half, when obviously the game at some point has to open up. When, obviously it was Real Madrid which took the first step in opening up the game. We got the first, then we got the second. We looked a bit more lethal in attack. Vinicius Jr. today having one of his trademark Vinicius Jr. performances, dancing his way through defenses. It looked really comfortable today on the ball. Was having a good game. I just feel, Villarreal at home are a very different team than what they are away. At least with Real Madrid, I've seen that's the case. At home, if this was at the La Ceramica, I'm pretty sure this could have been and we've seen this in the past. It could have been a very, very different game. It could have been a very open game. And I'm just lucky because, in the past 3 encounters against Villarreal at home, either we've had a major, major controversy with the thing that happened between Valverde and Baila. We've had a couple of ACL tears as well. I think Carvajal was this match last season where he tore his ACL. So it's kind of like become like a cursed fixture for us where something or the other goes down. But I'm just happy to come out of it without any injury scares. Of course, we don't need more of that. And I think the red card which Villarreal received, I think just kind of took away any momentum that they were trying to build after the goal that they scored, which I feel was a brilliant shot to catch Courtois off guard and just right on the edge of the box. I think that did give them some wind beneath their wings to at least go for a draw in the remaining 7, 10, 12 minutes, whatever was remaining in the match. But I think their red card just caused them to just sit back and just watch Real Madrid take away the game. I feel we should have gotten a fourth. I think Jude Bellingham had 2 good chances at the end of the match, which he kind of did not take. And he looked visibly frustrated about it. And it's a good thing that, Bellingham is finding his way into the box. This is the Bellingham, this is the kind of Bellingham play that we saw the season that he joined. Where, he was finding, where he was, acting like a shadow striker and he was finding his way into the box. I think Fede Valverde also had a chance. I did call it in the preview that I wanted him to score. And he did come close to scoring. And I think a much improved performance from him as well to, I think, kind of silence the haters. But overall, I think a good professional outing from Real Madrid's end. And Villarreal just was not the team that we expected probably them to show up as we have seen from the beginning of the season. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think you have discussed everything pretty much. I think that's all for the post match, guys. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. But jokes aside, I think you've pretty much covered everything. One thing that I'll kind of fall back on though is the fact that, see, people call me negative, but I have high standards, and this isn't a performance that like we can be happy about the fact that we actually got back to winning ways, and we all knew that Villarreal coming to the Bernabeu isn't really gonna do much, and we have seen this with so many La Liga sides, Espanyol, who were picking up some decent points. I thought we're really gonna give it a go when they come visit us, but yeah, they looked like they didn't have anything going for them when they came to the Bernabeu a couple of weeks back as well. It's a good win, like Random Guy says. 3 points, happy days. But on the eye test, I still don't enjoy watching us. I love my club, but yeah, there isn't any joy watching us. Vini being the sole, probably, shining light. But apart from that, everything else is just super predictable. Like, I'll be very honest. Missing some very big chances, in pivotal moments. Arda Güler looking like, he has something to prove again. He along with Mastantuono, I thought, had some major incentive to actually make sure that, Jude Bellingham is out of the lineup for, as long as possible. But then again, these guys, they try, but I think it's the system, or is it the synergy? It isn't free flowing yet. I just hope it comes back to actually really facilitate a much bigger statement come probably the end of October when we face Barcelona, when we go away to Liverpool, when we actually play Juventus as well. So far, this isn't really something that I would be bragging about. Ashik mentions it in the chat. We were shit. The goal that we scored, the first goal, I mean, that's a very, very lucky deflection. A very fortuitous deflection that Vini capitalized on. And the chances Villarreal actually had, Kanishk, if they managed to actually put them together, we would be looking at a much, much closer game, and a game that we would struggle to win. I'll be very honest.
Look, they were a bit toothless in attack, to be very honest, Villarreal. I did expect a lot from them because obviously they've had this fantastic run of games since the beginning of the season.
3 wins on the trot.
3 wins on the trot, yes. And Villarreal, you don't expect them to be in the bottom half, but you don't also expect them to be in top 4. They're like a perfectly, like at the beginning of the season, they are generally a team which kind of finds a good run towards the end of the season, somehow always makes it to European competition. However, I think Sahil and we did call it in the preview that their Georgian striker, I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting his name.
Mikatadze.
He was good, and I did call it in the preview. Like, he's a good attacking threat. He's played in Liga. He's played in like good leagues before, so he has that goal instinct in him, which we could definitely see. I think he was the only one, and with Nicolas Pepe, who was maybe trying to score something from them. But it's okay. I don't want to talk about Villarreal's attack. Our attack, I just feel today was driven by Vini. Even Mbappe, he did score a goal, but I would call it a very off day because I'm setting very high standards for him. The way he's been performing all season. Today, every Real Madrid viewer can probably agree with me and say that he had like a 6 on 10 or a 7 on 10 kind of a day. Did get the goal. That matters. That's the only stat that matters in football. But yeah, I think, again, we are sounding like a broken record when we say it's Arda Güler and the Mastantuonos and the players these are the players, are trying to find that hunger, find that impact on the field. Defensively, I still feel we are a very, very significant work in progress. I don't see that tuning yet with our defense. It's still pretty individualistic. This is again a point Sahil and I discussed in the preview.
If you remember the one we won or the 1-on-2 that Oluwaseyi, if that's how his name is pronounced, the Canadian striker that he had. Housen is again his tendency. Sorry, his tendency is actually to again bring the man down. Like he isn't even willing to play the ball. I mean, these are the signs of a very cowardly centre back. Like I would like to love the boy, but he is just looking like this isn't the stage for him. I'm being very honest. I was very, very keen on really getting behind Housen, but it's almost looking like this guy needs a lot of time on the bench. Like it's almost like he is a non-negotiable starter in this setup. I know we don't have many options for sure, but it's almost like this isn't going anywhere, Kanish. I'm being very honest. We'll be facing Barcelona in a couple of weeks, and this could be easily 4-0, 3-0. 4-0, 3-0 with these kind of performances, especially.
I think we saw that in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. We saw that in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. I think that's the first match where we could see visible cracks in the wall. And throughout the season, even with his red card and all that jazz that's been happening around Poison, I still feel I'll agree with you on some points that he is, for the lack of a better word, a bit cowardly when it comes to defense. But I also feel, he's coming from the play style of the Premier League, which is very different defensively than what we see in La Liga week in, week out. So I still feel, and, he's partnering up with Militao, who's the most experienced there without Dani Carvajal. And there was Carreras, and obviously we don't have a functioning right back right now. So we have to rely on poor Fede Valverde to get the job done. So I think this defense will probably, I think Sahil and I were discussing this, will probably take, I think, until half of the season, till the December break, to, maybe find its footing as a defense with Carreras. Because, see, our best four right now is Carreras, Militao, Dinoisen, and Dani Carvajal.
May God help us if that's our best four.
Because, I don't know when Rudiger is going to be fit, and, he's going to take some time when he comes back. We don't know if Fernand Mendy is going to be fully fit when he's going to come back. And I think then we are going to have that many choices. But I think at least December, this is our, best defense that we have, because these players are match fit. They're playing week in, week out. But see, on the positive side of things, if you see it's 3 points earned, these are matches that help you win the league, to be very honest. So I'm looking at it. I'm optimistic.
Correct. You think we're winning the league, yeah? Okay.
I still feel we have it. We have what it takes to win the league. I don't know if
I predicted us winning the Champions League. So you're predicting us to win the league. I think it's right.
Look,
perfect ballpark.
Look, Champions League. Obviously, we have some sort of pedigree which kind of carries us there. But when it comes to the league, we've seen that these are the kind of matches in the past that we have lost, or maybe we've drawn and dropped significant points.
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing these professional performances. Even when you're not at your 100%, Real Madrid, I think, has been a solid 7.5 on 10 this season. If you just take because this was the 10th match of the season. If you take all 10 matches, if you take an average, I don't think I'm way far off from anyone else's rating. I think it is a 7 on 10 kind of a team. The attack is clicking, thankfully. The midfield is still much better than what we expected it to be. The defense is the aspect of our team which is kind of letting us down in certain matches. Even that goal, the Masukadze scored, the striker. Someone closes Mikitadze. I'm so sorry, I just keep forgetting his name. But if someone closes him down, or maybe puts some pressure on him, maybe he does not get that shot off. I'm not with all due respect to him, it was a shot from the edge of the box.
See, Kanishk, I'll be very honest. We have conceded so many comical goals all across my lifetime watching our club. Even great centre backs, Ramos, Varane, they all had mistakes in them. Pepe had a mistake in him. All these guys, they're human, but it's the consistency with how schoolboy we look when it comes to, closing out danger. That gets me worried, man. I'm I called the Atleti performance a long time ago, and people were really, really pissed that I got stuff right. It's because I tend to get very few things wrong, because I've been in the game long enough to know what I see. And these kind of performances, although, you said, these are hallmarks of a champion, of a league-winning side, we were barely given a run for our money. We were barely tested in this game, to be honest. So can we really, ask much more, from this team, apart from, play the sides. They have that line weight and rack up the points and hope and pray that Barcelona, slip up. Um, no, we cannot, So this, in that regard, is a decent performance. But yeah, like you said, the defense definitely requires a lot of work. And fingers were rightfully pointed at so many of the key figures, in the Atleti loss. And I'm glad to see, there were a few smiles when we scored, and when we were putting some good stuff together. It seemed like there was a sense of belonging. There was a sense of collective yearn to actually, win back the fans. So these are positive signs. But how this side, handles the big moments will define the season, and will define ultimately how long
Let me
Xavi will be
be
here.
devil's advocate, Sunil. I want to pose a question to you. Do you
Mhm.
think our inconsistency in performance, like, some games we are very good, some games we are iffy, some
Yeah.
games like the Atletico games where we absolutely lose our head. Do you think this is because Xabi Alonso does not have a consistency in choosing his 11? Do you think him being a bit, having that surprise element about him,
Mhm.
not selecting the same 11 for two straight matches even, uh, has like an alter effect, like has like a different effect to the team's performance on the pitch?
100% it would. I've played semi-pro sports. Wasn't
Okay.
football, but when I'm not in the lineup, it's chaotic. It affects my morale. It really, seeps into the daily. So it's not even nearly a match day thing. So for all these players who are accustomed to knowing where they lie in the food chain, in the hierarchy, this is very new for them. And
Hmm.
I would also like to point out, this isn't necessarily just brought on by the fact that Xabi Alonso is keeping everyone on their toes. It's also brought on by the fact that he is having to deal with the aftermath of a very poorly planned club side, a very poorly run transfer strategy. I mean, Huni Kalafat and Perez and Zidane and Mourinho, Perez, they all have done their fair due in getting some brilliant transfers over the years, some very good under the radar signings that have gone on to become club legends. Rafael Varane, for instance. We have had many of those. But when it comes to carefully, strategically addressing issues a squad phase, we have really been lackadaisical. We have really wide out for let time fix itself, or let someone from the academy present itself himself. So
Hmm.
all these compounds into a manager who clearly knows that there are deep lying issues, whereby he knows some of the players he picks to play certain positions aren't good enough. One. Secondly, the players themselves know where they're playing at this moment in time isn't necessarily um, up to their isn't nearly suited to their strengths or their capabilities, like Fede Valverde. For him to actually come out and say he wasn't born to play right back, and then have to basically backtrack, put out a statement blaming the media. Oh, you're painting me in the wrong picture. But my guy, you came out and said yourself that you weren't born to play right back. If that doesn't scream, I don't enjoy my football right now, I don't know what else would. So you don't have to blame the fans. You don't have to blame the journals for painting you in a bad picture. You're human. We get it. When I'm not happy with what I'm seeing, I call it out. You're not happy with what you're going through. You calling it out isn't nearly a crime as people make it out to be. You know, Valverde has been one of our most loyal servants. Willing to basically die for the cause. So this is completely fine. But Kanish, this again goes to show this squad and the team synergy isn't necessarily there.
Yeah, very, very fair point raised there, Sunil. I do understand your concern, but see, my afterthought of this is that, every player does play for a club, every player plays for a country, a player also plays for themselves. No matter how much we like to say football is a team game, it is a team game. It'll always be a team game. Teams wins you trophies, individuals don't.
Yeah.
Every player also has at the top level a certain professional goal for themselves. that in the next, I mean, all the good players should have a professional goal for themselves, right? And not just in football, the profession you are in, the profession I'm in. We do see ourselves grow year on year and, probably be at a better place next year than we are right now.
Yeah.
Having said that, the fact that you get to play week in, week out for the biggest club in the world, without a doubt, okay, is motivation enough, I feel. And I do agree with that point of yours that, if a good, and see, it's not like he's been playing right back just for this season. He's been in that position multiple times before because of his, whatever you call it, is a bit more
and we
defensively
haven't
sound.
see that's
speed
the
and
other thing,
everything.
right? With him being right back, we haven't nearly climbed any trees or pulled down any trees, or we haven't done anything significant with him being right back. So for himself, he thinks, I am doing all this hard work, hard yards, but the team necessarily doesn't look better with me at right back. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only significant right back Fede Valverde performance which I can remember is during the COVID Champions League where we played Liverpool. The away leg at Liverpool. Yeah, under Zidane. He was fantastic that day, that particular outing. Other than that, he's just been like a quick fix. And I mean, look, you have certain professional commitments, you have certain team commitments. If your team needs you to play right back, if your coach needs you to play, not necessarily want you to play. I'm being very careful with my choice of words here. Nobody wants him to play right back. None of us want Fede Valverde at right back. We want him in midfield. We want him as the box-to-box midfielder presence that he's been. But if your team requires you to play right back, your team requires you to play right back. I think he should not have made like a hash out of the situation. If he makes a hash of the situation, every journo's eyes are on Real Madrid. They are always sniffing for like the smallest of news pieces that they can get out of Real Madrid. It's a business. That's how it works.
It's on him.
It's on him. And I said it in the preview. I think honestly, we should not doubt his commitment towards Real Madrid. I think it's just a matter of frustration, or maybe he's just a bit upset with, and maybe he's that kind of a footballer who's probably upset with his performance right now. That's a good thing, if he's thinking he's not at his 100%, which means that he's a very professionally committed player and he understands his commitment.
Since we're on this, we'll get to the good stuff in a second, but the good stuff I think is pretty straightforward. The Vini goals, that's why I'm just leaving it for the end. But since we are on Fede, like I would like to pose this question, Kanishk, right? Fede Valverde in midfield has looked like he is a bit off the pace, right? He doesn't really have the tools in his arsenal to play the kind of role that Xabi wants in the system. Basically, a pivot who can dictate the tempo, dictate possession, and play the anchor role, right? Like he has done it before, but it has been more of a defensive emphasis on his role compared to now, where it's more of a possession emphasis. Winning the ball, hype the pitch, and basically asking to dictate how the team plays off of you. So I think Fede Valverde has looked, the odd one out in midfield. And Jude Bellingham, coming back from injury, we all know that, Fede Valverde and Jude Bellingham, they're basically, the biggest boys and the biggest stars we have on the roster. Their names are non-negotiables. They're almost the first names on the sheet. But given the fact that Mastantuono and Arda Güler has been, estimated so highly by Xabi Alonso, basically being kind of lauded as the players who are basically the first names now on the team sheet. How do you think the future looks like, for Fede Valverde and Jude Bellingham, especially for Fede when Carvajal is back, who is a more traditional right back?
Look, you ask a very, very good question, Sven, and I was thinking about it. Look, whenever a new coach comes into like an established team which has, say, 7 or 8 players who've been a part of that squad and have won trophies in the past 2 or 3 seasons, and you have seen this with multiple clubs. You saw this with Barcelona. When Pep Guardiola came, the first thing he did was take out Zlatan from his team. Then the very next season, like the second season that he came, he realized Zlatan is not the kind of player that he wants, and he had that gutsy decision to probably make Zlatan go away from Barcelona, who was at that time I think one of the top 3 strikers in the world. Every time a new coach comes, it is bound to happen that there are going to be players who've been established in that
Zidane
particular system.
happened with James, if you remember.
happened with James, absolutely. Thanks for that. So, there are always players who look very different players under different managers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is honestly up to, so look, you cannot keep changing the coach, right? We are not Manchester United. We are not those kind of clubs which will change a coach like that. But the onus now then falls on the player. How well can he adapt to a new role? Look, we
Mm-hmm.
all know midfielders are kind of, like rubbers. You have to be adjustable. You have to be adaptable. You just can't say that, okay, I'm a defensive midfielder. I will not do anything else. This is this is not a corporate job. I'm sorry. So
Yeah, yeah.
you have to be adaptable. You have to be adjustable. If not, I will always put my club first. See, look, if any player after a certain point in time is not just able to adapt to the coach's mindset, to the coach's tactics, to the coach's plans, then the best move for either party is to look away. I mean, I'm saying this about one of my favorite footballers, Fede Valverde. He's been a very loyal servant, and he flourished under Zidane and Ancelotti. But maybe after 10 games, we can say and we can see that he's probably not the best fit for a Xabi Alonso level. Having said that,
Mm-hmm.
even Xabi Alonso does not know what his 11 is. So I'm not going to give him like the 100% of the benefit of the doubt that, okay, this man has a clear tactic.
Yeah.
This is his second club. This is technically his second proper season, a
Mm-hmm.
third proper season when it comes to professional top five club level coaching. So I think as a manager, he has an extremely long way to go. So I think I will give Fede Valverde the benefit of the doubt here. You do need a squad player like Fede Valverde. He's always come up clutch in the big moments. He's never given us a reason to doubt him. Always has a 8 on 10, 9 on 10 kind of a performance, even when the team is not playing the best. So
Mm-hmm.
I would see the optimistic side of this and would say, okay, maybe it's a matter of time before he eventually figures out how to play in Real Madrid. Because I don't see Fede Valverde going anywhere from
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid. I don't
Yeah.
think I don't even think he's gonna do that well in any other club. He's just too engrossed with Real Madrid at the moment. So I just
Mm-hmm.
feel it's a matter of time before Xabi really needs to now set out, okay, this is my playing 11. Come hell or high
Mm-hmm.
water, this is the
Yeah.
best playing 11 that I can start without injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Once that clarity is there with the top players, the top 11 of the team,
Mm-hmm.
then definitely we are going to see an uptick in performance, as you said, because it's going to take away a lot of that psychological baggage from them. That, okay,
Yeah.
am I in the squad? Am I not? So if you're doing that I think right now, what, five players are sure shot starters, six players are sure shot starters. We still are a bit iffy with the remaining five. I mean, if you remove
Mm.
Courtois from the
And
equation, he's
plenty
not
of
starting
players
the season.
coming back, like Kamavinga, like Jude Bellingham is going to make things
Yeah,
a lot more interesting.
it's comeback. And this is the midfielders when Rudiger comes back. He would obviously want to start. Then what do you do
Mm-hmm.
with the whole Militao and Huijsen situation?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, right now, Carvajal and Trent are injured, but if both were fit right now, that would be another discussion point. That who are you starting?
Whenever they have, like, I'll be honest, like Trent looks way out of depth, in a
Yeah.
system or in any right back system I've seen him. Defensively, that's what I would need a right back to be, defensively sound.
He's a
Carvajal,
midfielder, dude. I don't even think of him as a right back. He's
Carvajal
a midfielder.
has 100%. Carvajal has also looked shaky. So, like, I don't know what to do really with the right back situation, other than hope and pray. That's why I think our chances in big games against well-drilled sides, it's going to be very slim, and it's going to rely on us taking our big chances. When they come our way,
Yeah.
we're going to create chances. We have a lot of individual quality in this
Look,
in
attack
this
will win you matches, the old cliched line in football, but defense will win you
defense.
tournaments.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But let me make a bold prediction. Like Fede Valverde's role in midfield is gonna come to an unfortunate end when Camavinga and you know Jude Bellingham is completely back to full fitness and is fighting
mm,
for the cause. Like what um, I think, was it JR who was mentioning it? Yeah, JR was mentioning. I agree. Fede will have a hard time in Xabi's system. I think Jude, Arda, and even Camavinga may bring more for Xabi's system. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think this isn't going to be happy news for Fede. The only way he's going to get back
mm,
into the lineup is basically being substituted in for or starting ahead of Mastantuono. Because I love Mastantuono and I love the energy, I love the work rate, I love the willingness to create. I love the fact that he is basically basically like a pocket dynamite. Like he has everything that you need from someone who is playing a creative role, in the setup.
Mm,
But
mm,
he doesn't have the goals or the assists. What Fede will
yeah.
bring, especially in the big games, is defensive solidity first and his incredible pace, lethal pace. In
Are
a
you
straight line.
saying that
Mm,
Fede Valverde then his best
mm,
chance right now, once all the midfielders are fit, is the
mhm.
right wing position, which he did play a bit under Ancelotti?
Yeah, yeah. He wouldn't be really
Hmm.
happy, but I think it'll be better for him compared to the right back situation. At least he can really
Yeah,
contribute in the attack
yeah.
as well.
Fede is always been more of, as you said, he's not a ball carrying midfielder. Like he'll
Mm,
carry the ball, he'll drive with the ball, but I'm sorry, apologies. He's not a ball holding midfielder. He's
yeah,
not someone who can. He's not a Tony Cruz, basically. This is the role that Tony Cruz played for us for donkey's years. Running the play at his own pace, being like the maestro of the orchestra.
yeah.
Everything, dictating the winger space, dictating the attacker space, and going back, slotting in defense, and showing that Fede Valverde can't do that. He's very box to box to do that.
Hmm.
So, and there have been games where he's played right winger. I think against Man City itself, one of these seasons where did honestly put in a superb shift. So I mean, yeah, let's see. I hope he can find a way in Xavi's system. It'll hurt me to see him rot on the bench. I'd rather
Mm.
honestly have him play for any other club than rot on Madrid's bench, because he's just too good of a player to be
He wouldn't
wasted from
rot
the
on the
bench.
bench, but yeah, it's gonna really upset the apple cart, especially regarding some of the players' playing time. When the likes of Rodrigo can't get a look in, Brahim basically gets 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there. Uh,
Yeah,
it's not like I know for a fact people are really upset about their playing time for sure. They aren't necessarily
yeah.
upset at the whole equation, but they're really really upset
And
as
let's
to
not
as to
forget,
why.
this is
Mm, mm, mm.
lest we forget, this is the World Cup year.
Yeah.
A lot of players will be in contention for their nation's World Cup sides, and this is Real
100%.
Madrid. Every player plays for a nation which has a shot at qualification or a
Mm,
decent shot at a run at the World Cup. So
mm,
everyone will, want to put in those minutes, want to feature in those big moments and big matches, which kind of gets them selected, which is a good thing. But yeah, when you say it, Sunil, like, oh my God, there is a problem of abundance in certain positions. There is a
yeah.
huge problem of shortage in certain positions. I think that's the dichotomy that is faced with Real Madrid nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We have too much in certain positions, and then we don't have anything in certain positions. So yeah,
Yeah, that's why I keep reiterating the fact that this is a very poorly planned squad. Sahil was
definitely, yeah,
mentioning Valverde at right back is for the greater good, but should only be used as a quick fix, never as a long-term solution. Nevertheless, he's one
never,
of our
yeah,
greatest assets and
absolutely,
still a future captain. Ashik
definitely,
was
definitely.
go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. You have something to say, Kanish?
No, I was just agreeing with Sal's point. Like, Valverde is a player who we considered as our captain for many years to come, and very
Hmm.
sad to see just 10 matches in the season. This is the kind of
Yeah,
conversation that we are
people
having.
all people, especially like Fede's. Football is a very uncertain sport, and in the sense that it moves on pretty quick. And I know all of my legends, they went through tough patches in their careers, apart from
Yeah,
maybe a couple of those who were, above the mortals, right? They all go through phases in their career where they are surplus to requirements or where they aren't really seemed good enough, deemed fit enough for a particular system. It happens. It happens. Ashik was mentioning Perez and Calafat have done a great job for us, but now they seem to have become complacent about it. We don't promote academy players and don't sign the right players to bolster thin positions. Um, Ashik was mentioning we didn't play well to win, but we got a lucky goal and a pen. Defensively, we didn't look very convincing, and Villarreal's goal came from a completely unmarked player. We are
yeah,
back to leaking goals again. That's the biggest worry. I see all these stats, and even during the game with the Microsoft La Liga, all those data sheets and whatnot, it shows us winning the ball high up the pitch. But then the moment a team gets a good run against us, boom, they are in on goal. is a half an XG chance almost every single time they break away. So that's my concern. On to the positives then. Vinicius looked like he had a chip on his shoulder. I don't know what it was about Villarreal and Saturday night. Probably the last game before the international break. He wanted to leave it on a high. He looked like he was at least trying to go back to the Vinicius of 22, 23, 21, 22. This looked, I think, the closest we have seen so far from him.
So far, his best performance, I think, in the last 10 games. And I think maybe because, as you rightly said, he's going to play with Brazil in the international break now. And I think, that's the thing about Vini. He'll have 4 very off matches, and then suddenly he'll have a match where he's like, "Oh my God, Brazilian maestro, flair, fun, frolic on the pitch," and then you just suddenly, he's one of those players. Like as a fan, you just feel, you just want to love him basically after certain matches. That okay, wow, dude, what a performance! No one else on the pitch can do what he does. To be very honest, even now, with his ball control, with his dribbling, the way he beats defenders, and he's always got multiple options in his head to play a certain defender.
Yeah.
And sometimes in some matches you see he's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So he just needs to be a bit more consistent. I think that's the only thing he needs to focus on.
He just needs to mix it up. If you remember the cross that he gave to Tchouaméni, I mean, we need to see more of that. With Jude Bellingham back, if he consistently provides that as a different option, people are going to be, on their toes and not really expecting him to go, down the byline and try to cut it back for the 1,000th time in a game,
Yeah. See, he just needs to find a bit more consistency with his options. But lovely to see him do what he does normally. That's the best version of Vini, honestly. Mbappe also, I think, even when he has an off game, if he can get the goals, these are the kind of goals which you remember at the end of a season, which kind of lift you up. These are because you don't know if it's still 2-1. Villarreal could have gotten a second. They did have some sort of momentum. They got the red card, unfortunately, which kind of broke it. Fortunately for us, but overall decent attacking performance, professional. Good.
Brahim's reverse pass as well was crazy. It was really good.
Brahim
really
also,
good.
I don't understand. He in any other team in the world is a guaranteed starter. Any other team.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe barring Barcelona right now because they.
Brahim has a problem though. Whenever he starts, he just looks like a 5 or a 10.
Yeah.
That's an issue with Brahim.
He has the Rodrigo problem, which Rodrigo had 3 years back. He was superb coming off the bench, super sub, and scoring goals and making an impact immediately. But when he starts a game, he just does not know what to do.
Starting a game is much more of an ask, because the fresher defenders, the stakes are much more higher. When you start a game compared to when you're coming off the bench, pressure is much less. So these guys, I think they can really give us a lot in terms of attacking, but it's a defense. Like many of the comments have pointed it out. Ashik was commenting. I forgot. I either signed Stella. Stella doesn't want to move out of Germany. That's what I've heard. Or Provod Petarch, the Moroccan from our academy. We need a midfielder who is a proper midfielder, who has the tools to actually unlock a box. Kamavinga shows it in flashes. Germany in flashes. Bellingham, you could say, he has that X factor in terms of providing the final ball here and then, but consistently, making the play that we need in games that the opposition has a superior midfield trio, we're going to struggle. And it's super evident, Kanishk, the disconnect between the midfield and the attack. It's all haywire. It's all off the cuff, improvised. There isn't nearly as much seamlessness that we might associate with the Xabi Alonso system, with Xabi Alonso being one of the greatest midfielders of our generation, right? That's something that we need to really look into and pray that somewhere or somehow Dani Ceballos just steps up and becomes that guy. And we have called him to be that guy a couple of times over the last 2-3 years, but he has been very close to it. He gets immediately injured, and then boom, he's out of the equation again. So yeah, there is that with Ceballos as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Rafa Marin, unfortunate, on his
Yeah.
night back at the Bernabeu. That's a very clumsy foul. I have no idea how that got given. I'll be honest, Kanishk. Have you seen, La Liga? If you have seen La Liga and Champions League and the Premier League and all of that, Bundesliga, we see those fouls happen on a
Yeah,
on a regular
honestly, we've been
basis.
lucky with penalties this season. I mean, I just have to call it as I see it. We've
Yeah.
been extremely fortunate. But I know down the line during the fag end of the season, there will be decisions that are given against us.
Against us,
It
sure.
always happens. I mean, on
For
balance, you cannot say any season any team deserves more or gets more or gets less. So it's okay. I mean, honestly, not much to say on that.
Yeah, we'll say it's okay, but rivals, they're going to be counting all these. Come.
They can keep talking. I can remember Barcelona last year was extremely fortunate. So many decisions and fouls and penalties that have gone their way. Liverpool last year when they were winning, there have been situations, where they've been given. I think it happens with every team. You are given certain decisions. Then on balance of play, there are certain decisions that are not given also at the end of the season. I mean, I remember the Valencia goal which Bellingham scored, and the referee said that
Gil Manzano, yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, how does that happen? Can't do that in professional football. It's and plus, refereeing. I think this is a whole other podcast. Refereeing and decisions and the quality of decisions. And I said this in the season preview as well. That just this one line on refereeing that remove VAR, man. I don't understand. Just keep it as it used to be. Keep it human. Because if with the help of computers, it's just become even more complicated, to be honest.
I do like the semi-offside rule and whatnot, but even with computers, even with all the 350,000 cameras inside the stadium, if we can't really overturn a clear dubious decision, what's the point of having all this in place, right? It's almost against the logic. But yeah, Kylian Mbappe apparently becomes the fastest Madrid player to score 40 La Liga goals since Cristiano. Not a surprise. Yeah, I think he has the most GNA in the league, 10.
So far,
Vinicius is in second with 9. So it's nice.
He's winning he's going for a Ballon d'Or season. I called it with Sahil. He wants the Ballon d'Or, nothing less.
He can win the Ballon d'Or only if we win significant silverware.
Yeah.
Not just
I mean, you
Liga.
do need the league and at least the Champions League.
Yeah, minimum. Or he can win the World Cup,
France has a very good shot at the World Cup next year. So it's all there for him. It's kind of lined up there for him to kind of go and take it. He just needs... I mean, he did have the goal output last season as well. Even though he started slow because he didn't have a preseason. He did have the final goal tally and goal output. He won the European Golden Boot. I mean, that stat used to be enough to have in the top 3 most years.
Yeah.
Now with like the whole PR and everything, I don't want to get into that. You do need that trophy. And I mean, look, Madrid has the PR. Madrid will do the PR for him. He just needs to step up with the silver. I still feel, last year if he could have won the league or won the Champions League, he could have been
probably would have won the Ballon d'Or. Yeah,
he could have been a clear front runner. I mean, you don't win it with the Intercontinental Cup and UEFA Super Cup. So, unfortunate. I mean, because Haaland wins a treble and he doesn't get a Ballon d'Or. So I don't know what else you need to win a Ballon d'Or.
Euro year, World Cup year, it's a bit difficult.
Yeah.
But
every international trophy year, it kind of becomes a bit.
Not the Copa America though. Nobody gives a fuck about the Copa America, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ashik was mentioning we still have to play a proper team. Keyword here is a proper team. Yeah, this wasn't a decent attacking performance. We can't say that considering Villarreal played with the standard game plan of letting the opponent have the ball. Let's not read much into that. We are going to struggle and play subpar until the Clásico, and then with the dominant Clásico when we'll officially start the season and announce ourselves. I hope you're right, Ashik, because if that's the calling card that we need, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I said the Bernabeu last year was 4-0. I'm pretty sure the boys are up for revenge, and they might be licking their wounds, ready to go again.
And
But
if we lose against Barca at home in a bad manner, I mean, I don't mind a 2-1 loss, but I do mind a 4-0, 3-0 pounding. And if we don't do well against the big teams in the Champions League, let me call it, I do see Xabi Alonso not last for a very long time also.
yeah,
Because it's of these results, that have gone against us. Any coach can win you a match against Real Oviedo and all these teams, but these are the matches which Zidane won, which Ancelotti won, which kind of kept them at the top for a decent period of time. And I do see if you don't win against Barcelona, then you lose against Liverpool and these big matches basically. I mean, it kind of mean, and at least in Madrid we've seen this in the past. That a manager can
let's just hope. Let's just hope. Now we have our shooting boots on. We have our defensive hat on, and hope and pray that we have Ceballos fit and ready to go. Lord Ceballos might be the final piece of the puzzle. Who knows? Because the midfield is a major concern. The defense is a major concern. That is enough evidence to suggest that this team, although the hype is all over social media, it isn't nearly the team that is set up to win consistently. But we can slowly start wrapping this up. Ganesh, you can text Sahil.
But done that. Just did that.
Let me just go through a few more of the comments.
Let's hope we have a injury-free international break for our players. Let's hope for that because we have a crucial run of games up ahead.
Oh yeah. Injuries again. I mean, it is basically adding salt to the wound. We have enough problems to deal with, right? Jaya was mentioning we did play well enough to win. We had an XG over 4. Could we have done better? Yes, but we were dominating most of that game. Yeah, if Masantuno,
Bellingham also with his 2 chances.
Bellingham's couple of chances. It's a completely different game if that's the case. But you have to take your chances, man. At home as well, and the dominance we kind of had. We should be taking those chances. JR was mentioning. I mean, is in competition for spots. I think it was insinuating that we were crying out for competition for spots. Now this is finally here. Why are we complaining? We are complaining. It's like it's both a boon and a curse. There should be a fine line between how much we shuffle the pack and how much we kind of rely on some of the stalwarts to play every week. Because especially, thank God he's not messing with the centre-back partnership. He can't really mess up with it because we don't have many centre-backs, right? But the overall setup do need to have some consistency for it to, for all those recurring patterns to occur. If you have played any sort of sport in any level, if your teammates are constantly being shuffled, man, you know how it goes. It never will look.
Yeah. I mean, not just sport, like even with corporates, if a company keeps hiring and firing, it just never gives you that stability. So you need people to be stable, but yet know that they are replaceable. So
100%.
And I think that's where, a man manager kind of comes in. I don't see Xabi Alonso as a man manager yet. That is where Ancelotti was a fantastic coach in Chelsea, at AC Milan, even the first stint at Real Madrid. Zidane also for that matter. So, has to be there.
He's learning on the job, so I hope he matures up. He matures soon enough, and basically keeps us in the mix. We just have to be in the mix. Have a deep run in the Champions League. Take La Liga to the last match day. Even at our worst, I think we would probably push to the last match day or the last month or whatever. But giving Barcelona a free run at the league and crashing out early in the Champions League is going to hurt his survival chances a lot. But
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, boys, I think that's pretty much it, right, Kanishk?
Yep.
2 weeks break. A much needed rest for some of the guys like Jude Bellingham. He's not going away. Vinicius Rodrigo is back in the Brazilian setup. Here's to hoping
I
that
think
all our boys.
Mbappe, Chouameni coming for France, I think.
Yeah.
Will be interesting to see what Huijsen does for Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Carvajal can also rest up during the
100%,
international break. So
100%.
Yeah, will be good.
Yeah, we just hope all the boys return back in one piece, and
Even
like
Mastantuono for Argentina. So all the best to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Big up Sahil as well. Enjoy the international break, everyone. Until next time, boys. Ala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Okay. Right then.